Well, I picked up one of these kick-ass 7-second shower tents off the internet from Marketing Australian Marketing, blah 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 blah. Well, I picked up one of these kick-ass 7-second shower tents off the internet for $200 delivered. Let's stick on the Land Cruiser and see how it goes. Alright, so with the kick-ass awning you get the usual screws and nuts. I actually get 4 really decent looking pegs. I mean, they're actually probably quite usable for this purpose, unlike the ones that came with the Bushwhacker 270 degrees that I wouldn't have trusted even holding this down. It comes with 2 fairly standard looking brackets for a regular awning. I'm going to be using the same T-nuts that I used for the other side on the 270 degree awning, except these are the M6, not the M8 variant, because these are slightly smaller M6 nuts. So this one should be pretty easy to do, I reckon. I'm not even going to bother making up an adapter like I did for the 270 degrees. This has got the same problem that had, in that this doesn't reach between the 2 mounting points, 2 rails on the roof rack on the Pioneer series Rhinos. But I'm just going to hold this on with 1 bolt per bracket. I think that's going to be enough because it's really light and it's not going to have a lot of load on it. Well, I'm just trying to work out the spacing of these brackets. I'm going to try and have this shower tent as far back on the roof rack as possible because I still want to try and fit the shovel holder up here. I don't know if it's going to work. Ideally, in my original plan, I actually thought of having the high lift jack and the tent here, but I really was a bit optimistic there in the size of the roof rack and the size of the high lift jack, but I might still use the high lift jack brackets because they actually hold the shovel up nice and high. Once I get this on, I'll have a look how it fits, but I might be able to have the shovel actually go over the top of the shower tent. But I think if we can get these all the way back as far as we can and actually have the shower tent come right over to the end of the actual wagon, that might be the best bet. The only trick might be when we open the 270 degree awning up, hopefully they don't clash. Well, I was just thinking about it, and with the ease of putting out that Bushwhacker awning, I figured I might as well actually put it out so I can see what's going on and see where the maximum limit is for me to put this back. Now theoretically I could still put this underneath the awning, and it's okay with the leg down doing that, but when the leg's not down it's gonna bang on here, and even then it's going to make it hard to flip this cover over. So I think I might just play it safe and put it right on the edge of where that awning's meeting. What I've done, I was flipping the awning sort of around here, but I've actually clipped it right up to the front of the roof rack, which I think is actually giving it a better purchase anyway, but it means that it's going to clear, hopefully it's going to clear the shower tent, but we'll see when we get it up there anyway. Well, you've actually got to put these little bolts into the rails on this particular awning. The Bushwhacker had them already in there, even though you could do it yourself if you wanted to. So to get these in, you've actually got to take off this little bit of Velcro here so you can lift this up. Once you've got this flap up, you can get these little M6 bolts and then slide them in. So obviously we're going to need 2 on each side to count for the... That'll always happen. To count for the 2 bolt holes in each of the brackets. And just put it back over. Now the other thing that I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put the brackets on this awning first before I put it up on the roof rack. The reason being, I don't think there's going to be any clearance behind the top bolt hole to the top rail of the tradesman style Pioneer rack. Because it's actually got the sides on it, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. It might not even fit at all, and I might have to bore out some holes so I can change it its position a little bit. But anyway, we'll find out in a minute. I've just Oki strapped that up there because that's actually held it in place really nicely, and that means I can get up around and try and get those nuts, T-nuts and bolts through there. It's going to be quite an effort to try and do that by myself with the brackets already attached to the tent. So hopefully these holes are going to line up. My biggest worry is that it's going to be kicked out a little bit off the top of that tradesman's rack where the top bolts are. And if that's the case, those bolt holes might not line up into the rails and I'll have to drill some new ones. Well, these were causing a problem. I was worried that they would. You can see that there's quite a bit of extra meat out the back of these bolts here, and they're pushing up against the top of the roof rack. So I'm just going to see if grinding the excess thread off is going to give me enough. It might still be on a slight angle, and I don't know how that's going to look when the tent comes out, but it's worth a shot because it's the easiest solution. Otherwise I'm going to have to drill different holes in the legs and actually space the whole tent off the side of the roof rack a little bit further, which I don't really want to have to do. So we'll see if this is going to be enough. Well, looks like I stuffed up. I didn't need to grind those bits off after all, because if you have a look where the roof rack is and have a look where the wheel arch of the 200 series sticks out, it's quite a bit of difference. So I actually needed that standoff that I was trying to avoid. I wanted this to be right up hard against here, but that was never going to work because when I first set it up and tried it out, it all fouled on the car here. So I've actually had to go up and then space it out as much as I would dare. It looks a little bit funny, but it's actually going to work a lot better. So let's give it a crack. Really does fit just beautifully in with the 270-degree bushwhacker awning. Really happy with that. So there is one more step I could go out on that bracket to stand it off a little bit more, but I just reckon that would look really weird driving down the road, and it would stick out and hit every branch when you're driving off-road. So I think we'll leave it as it is, and I still reckon that's going to be a neat way. I guess what you could do is just, if you are going to peg it down, just peg it down a little bit further away from the car and it would just pull it away there. I guess that would be your trick. So we've got a door here. This is the zipper, which is kind of cool because it comes out under the awning here. It's a little bit rudimentary, just lifts the whole side up, but it works. Inside you've got a nice little holder there, which you'd think that it'd be a better spot to put that on the door, but there is one on the other side. And then inside here you've got another zipper where you can open up sort of this flap here, and that if you had a sliding window or one of those pop-out type retrofitted windows in your 70 series or something, you could use that to pull all your shower stuff in there, or you could have all your soap and everything inside. So that's quite a good idea. It's got the nice reflective stuff on the inside so that you're not going to have a silhouette. Mind you, if someone wants to watch me having a shower, see my silhouette, and that's up to them, or even worse if I'm sitting down taking care of business. The actual hooks are metal, which is good, but you've got to be careful when you drop it down. You've already put a little chip in the paint, so just be careful when you unroll it and make sure you don't hit those on there. Rightio, let's put it away. Just got to unlock these two little locks up here, and then I guess you just do it in the reverse fashion. Just make sure that you get these little clips out of the way, these little hoops, because that's where the Velcro is going to go. sure there's a knack to this. What's really nice is both the bushwhacker awning and this shower tent seem to have ample room in the bags, and thank God for that, because there's nothing worse than trying to put something away in a bag that's just too small. It's pretty simple, like all of these bloody things. Geez, this one's got so many straps there. There's a lot of straps to tuck out of the way. I suppose you can tuck as you zip, but they always foul. Alright, last step. Didn't do this the first time. Obviously when I rolled it up this time I got a bit of extra material sticking out the end. Well, there you go, and it is quite firm on there, but it does have that little bit of a standoff there. But you know what? I'm pretty happy with that. I reckon somebody get changed, somebody have a shower, it's going to be awesome. Next thing to do, I guess, is put the solar shower up here on the roof rack, and then you'll be able to just have the hose connect up there and boom, away you go.